Hey everyone, it is ABJ here, and you can see the market's still going on right now. It's only 9:30 in the middle of New York City lunch. Market's still grinding upwards above 6,000, but I just want to showcase how we figured that today was likely going to be a bullish trend for OpEx. And so we've been calling this since around last week, starting on January 7th. Because this is the day that we actually got the most calls into the market. So how do we know that? Like, how did we see that come to fruition? So if I were to go back, right, this is the chart of SPX. I know we're still moving up right now, but January 7th was all the way over here. Let me change this to the 15 so we have a little bit of a better view. January 7th was all the way over here. Okay, now we understand if you've joined in on any of the classes and any times we talk about whales, we understand that whales are happy to sit in drawdown for some time. So January 7th, going into the 8th, we saw around 14 billion and then not exactly, actually I was wrong choice of words there. We saw upwards of $4 billion targeted for January 17th specifically. That's today. And around the price that they entered at was this green line. So we called this level for some time. 59.18, right? This was yesterday's trade, and this is why I said we weren't likely to break through 59.17, 59.18. Because this is where all those calls came in. Right? Now, how do we know that? How do we use quant data to determine that scenario? Right here, let me show you right now. Just change it to pink because pink today gave us good luck. If I change this to January 7th, even if we go to January 6th, you can see $11 billion calls, right? We take the calls purchased, which is at the ask, and minus the calls sold. So this is a heavy tilt towards bullishness. Going into the 7th was actually even more so. So you saw 14 billion here, right? And zooming even further, you'll see it's still tilted to calls, right? Despite whatever happened here in the market, again, whales are happy to sit in drawdown. They can't enter like us. They have to build liquidity so that they can enter into their calls. So that's our idea, right? So this level right here was heavy interest, so we dropped below it. So we were wondering, okay, what's going on? It's just some kind of grab for a push up. Seemed to work out. So if I want to go back to the 7th, I actually want to change the expiration to the 17th. And so this was our idea. Look at that. $7 billion of calls purchased expiring today. Right? So going into today, going into this week, we saw these gap up. So PPI, CPI, the thought was that we're probably going to move up because of these events. Jobless claims as well. Those are the three events that were of importance this week. So I'll show you right here. Starting today, let me reset this because I am streaming and people are trying to use this data right now. So starting today, I want to show you what we opened at. And so in this chat, I'll say this. I'll show you this right now. So in the chat, I said that no trust required. All I know is that there's $14 billion of calls to deal with tomorrow. Right, so it's probably going to be a London sessions help to move up. I was going to say help to move up. SPX 6,000 isn't out of the question. Now we've hovered around 6,000 for the majority of the session now. Right, you can see right here we moved up. We caught this move up here, 6,000, and we kind of hovered around here for a long time. Right, this give or take $5 for a majority of time. So you can see right here, 6,000 is like right in the middle right here. So how do we know though? How did we know today 6,000 was a possibility? So look at this. So this is the open of gamma. Okay, and this is the open of delta. Now if you watched my previous video, we did talk about delta contraction. Now delta contraction is a phenomenon that happens in the market that you can catch with tools like quant data. Right, so you can see that I actually want to bring to the point where it was the most exposed for downside. It was like at some point it was actually negative 22 billion. Let me bring it to that point. Yeah, there we go. Right here, 722. So 722 price is right here. right? With negative, let me bring it to 722. Bad bringing it. That's okay. So just a minute before it was negative 22 billion. That was the maximum we saw. So negative 17 billion in delta exposure here. So what does that mean? It means that there's some force, market makers are pushing price down. They don't want price to go beyond 6,000. But at the same time in our head, we knew that there's a hell of a lot of bullish calls expiring today. So there's a likelihood of what we call delta contraction. Now again, if you watch my previous video, you can see this happen on the 15th. It happened again today. So 6,000 negative delta, dealers were forced to buy this back, and what happens when they buy it back? What happens when delta's bought back? All their shorts, they got to go long now, they got to buy it back. They've lost. They've effectively given up on their position. And we saw this as a target too. So this is the market's interest right now, 6,000. And so we're here, moving on the day, continuing. 6,000 continues to hold. All right, 6,000 right here continues to hold. And eventually we actually saw capitulation from 730 going into 60.20 as a likely scenario. And right now, SPX is at 60.12. So this might actually get us there. But you can see right here, so negative 17. And then moving on in the day, look what happens. Look at that. Negative 7 billion, earlier was 17, 22 billion was the maximum. But look how fast they bought this back. Right? Dealers were saying like, yeah, okay, we're giving up. Like we're not right here. So when they buy this back, we knew, okay, this was our bet. We were predicting that dealers are going to buy this back today because of the amount of calls that are above us. Or sorry, not above us. The amount of calls that have been put in the market since last week. Right? Remember, I just showed you guys. This level was a huge call buying scenario. And it happened since last week. Going into this week. So hopefully that helps make sense of things. Delta contraction is a great strategy that we utilize here in quant data very often. Again, it happened just 2 days ago. In this video here, same thing happened. They bought them back. Dealers had to buy back their positions to let us know that they've given up. And yeah, another great trade. Another great trade here for the quant data community. Always happy to showcase this stuff because I love a data-driven approach. Yeah, and that's it. So yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. I'm gonna stop this recording.